Oh boy, what would it be without a little bit of technical difficulties to start there? I forgot to go live on YouTube. So welcome everybody to night 12.
Is this your first night, Brian? It's your first night?
This is the first time I've used Zoom. I'm a WebEx guy.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yeah. So welcome to night 12, everybody. The 12 Beers of Christmas craft beer experience. The final night.
Who are you?
Can we just not open it? If we just don't open the slot, we can I'll just keep drinking my water.
We need a beer to cry into, Brian.
All right. We previewed it earlier by stupid mistake. Let's go to box cam.
Brian, can you do it in slow motion so that it's not over so fast?
Yeah. I can't do this bit. All right. The final one. Here we go. It is not malty in there. It is a really nice City Brew Tours beanie. I love these beanies. And a really awesome can.
Yes.
Dare I say the coolest can artwork in there we saved for last.
Yes, I already saw the chat kind of blowing up a bit about can artwork and like can design. Definitely a really cool thing. And all of Hopworks cans look amazing. I was looking on their website. They all have like the 2020 and 2021 releases have like this really cool design with these faces. Really fun. Ah, nice hat.
Yeah, you know, I'm a sucker for a wardrobe change. I've loved the wardrobe change throughout all this.
Well, fine, I'll do too.
Okay. Jason said it's Maltese cousin beanie. Yes, it is.
I can't hear anything when I do that. Okay.
Oh yeah. Jason in the chat said it's Maltese cousin beanie, which I thought was very funny. So we got a very cool beer here tonight. As you pour it out into your glass, this is the Abominable Winter Ale from Hopworks Urban Brewery out of Portland. And we have a beer that's pretty brownish in color. But you're definitely going to get some roasty malts out of. It's got some extremely expressive hops in it, and Simcoe and Azaka. I'm excited for this one.
Oh man, I got foam on my nose. Oh, it smells really good. Like the hop scent, the hop aroma. Like I love it.
Wonderful,
really
classic
good.
Pacific Northwest pininess and. Wonderful.
Hey, cheers to the last night of the Christmas content.
Cheers. And as Victoria is remarking with a question mark and a exclamation point, 7.3% packs a punch, but hides it really nicely. Yeah, really nice head that I poured very big on my glass.
Mine did too. Yeah, mine did too.
It really stays around. Great beer. I'm excited to get into what we have tonight. So we're going to be joined by another City Brew Tours friend to talk about the world of food and beer pairings.
Food and beer pairings. Was that a trumpet?
Yeah, it was like one of those like.
Oh, vuvuzela.
Yeah, but like.
Anyway.
Like reggae music or something.
Okay.
Yeah, an air horn. There we go.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, this beer tastes so good. TB says yes. So reminder, we have the chat. Use it like you're using it now to chat with each other. We will kind of try to touch on what you're saying in there. But if you have any burning questions about beer, about life, about Brian, about anything, throw it in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to address those as well.
Yep. Love when we get the questions in the chat, in the Q&A and the comments in the chat via Kate. One more time. Let's say hi to Kate.
Hi, guys. I'm so sad it's the last night.
Yep. I'm going to say my stupid cheesy line again. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened.
Yes.
Amen,
I'm happy
Brian.
that the intro music is over.
I like the intro music. It's going to be stuck in my head for weeks, though. I know it. I know it. So after we grab our final beer here and add this box to the growing mountain of cardboard I'm sure we all have in our house. Jolie, I know we have somebody joining us this evening, but before we do that.
Not Santa.
It's not Santa, no. But like, I'm really missing the bar and tap room atmosphere.
Me
and
too.
Like just the whole communal drinking thing. Yeah. And like, it's been really good to get back with us. And we have our friend joining us tonight. So like, could I try something tonight? Like,
okay. I'm listening.
Cool. So Let's see here. There we go. So,
Are there like a million people in your house right now, Brian?
No, I got my bar sounds here, and this is to make it seem like.
What is this?
It's like we're just talking with our friend in a bar,
No, I hate this. This is the worst thing ever, Brian.
Isaac's coming on, and
you can call Multi and have him come back if you keep doing that.
But it's like we're in a tap room or something.
No, that's the worst thing about being in tap rooms is how crowded they get.
All right, I give up on the bar sounds. Let's get to our guest.
Woo!
So
he is our good friend from City Brew Tours. He is equal parts 33.333% beer, bulldogs, and barbecue.
And now
our good friend, Isaac Bell.
Hi.
Welcome, Isaac.
Great to finally be on this side of the screen. Thank you for having me. Brian, can you bring back the ambient bar sounds and tap room in the back?
I most certainly can.
I
most certainly can, Isaac. Well,
yeah.
Found your audience.
I feel like I'm back home again. There's nothing like screaming over a bunch of people in the tap room trying to explain how beer and food work together.
Wait, what was that?
What?
Exactly.
Okay. I swear, I'm sorry, everyone at home. That's the last time I'll try to do that. Only I like it. So, Isaac, we're here to talk about Boot Brian. No, Todd, I am here to stay. This is my show. This is the last night. No mutiny tonight. So thanks for joining us tonight, Isaac. We're going to talk about food and beer pairing. We're going to talk about this Abominable Winter Ale. We're going to play a little game where we see if chat could kind of stump us.
Oh boy.
But first, Isaac, let's get into your background. Why do you love food and beer so much? And what do you do with food and beer?
Well, I drink the beer and I eat the food.
Never thought of it like that.
That's where I excel at both of those things. No, it's pretty funny. I have a love of all things fermented, anything that can be fermented. Obviously, a special place in my heart for beer in particular. But I love to pickle things. I love fermented hot sauces, kimchi, beer, mead, cider, wine. Obviously, beer, special place. I've been brewing for quite a long time, all grain at home. But when COVID hit, like many of you, I dove into a lot of hobbies. As a home brewer, I started brewing a lot more beers, a lot bigger beers. But I also took up a new passion, which is smoking, and not cigarettes.
That's
but
not healthy.
yeah.
Smoke them up, kid.
I finally took up smoking, everyone.
Didn't pick up a bad habit. Well, it may be a bad habit. I picked up smoking meats. And delved real heavy into Texas style barbecue.
So much so that you kind of do that on the weekends?
So much so that I actually picked up a part-time job. So I have no chill. Anything that I do, I like to do extra and 100%. And so
extra.
when... Yeah, I'm pretty extra. The same thing happened with beer, happened with barbecue. I picked up a part-time job at a local Texas-inspired smokehouse and went from, using wood chips and charcoal to 100% post oak, salt and pepper, and learning how to cook on a 1,000-gallon drum smoker. So at home, I saw someone say Traeger. Not quite. I've got a custom offset. But I'm constantly looking for beer and food to try together. And I think somewhere along the lines, our City Brew Tour staff decided that I was a guy that was constantly cooking and constantly eating and just constantly.
I mean, we're not wrong, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. And somewhere along the lines, I became labeled as the guy that well, he's got to know what works with what, because he's tried everything. And
That's true.
Yeah, so
that's your actual background, but we're getting some questions in the chat as well about your literal background right now, asking about who's the old dude in the photo. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you got going on back there.
There's a lot on that wall.
Yeah, this is my wall of curated art back here. It's I actually rotate. I have a lot of artwork, and I actually rotate it around. Some people are asking. I'm seeing about the who's the old dude in the back there. Yeah, that's Napoleon. I'm not in the habit of portraying white dictators on my wall traditionally, but it was a gift from a former supervisor who just without going on too much of a side tangent, loved art. He was, very expensive row house down in Alexandria, Virginia on the waterfront. And every single floor was just wall to wall, similar to what I had behind me with art. And when he moved and retired, he left me with this Napoleon painting, which he had actually taken to an auction house. And in his head, it was worth a great deal of money. I never found out what that exactly was. And he couldn't bear the fact that this auction house couldn't sell it off. And he actually left it with me. He didn't say goodbye because he said goodbyes, are forever. And he left this painting on my desk and was like, I want you to have this. So it's not a great piece of art. It's not anything fantastic, but it has an emotional value behind it.
Definitely
of
a conversation piece, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation piece. So. Yeah, and then I have a reef tank back there as well, which usually gets a lot of attention. But it's better than the other walls, which aren't quite as nice as this one.
Yeah, or your closet, as we sometimes look at during our huddles, in your Cookie Monster helmet. So Tim in the chat is asking, where's your restaurant? It is 250 Barbecue, right? And
That's
it's
correct. Yeah,
Arlington. Or
it's in Hyattsville, Maryland, Riverdale, Maryland, just across the DC border. We did actually just get ranked one of the number one barbecue joint in the DMV area. So not too shabby. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Was looking for experience, and I certainly got it. So much so that actually I was explaining to our community today that I'm trying not to brew beer at home as much because I'm too busy supporting local, like I encourage everybody else to do out there. And you guys have probably been driving at home each and every night, but those breweries out there, they need our business more than ever right now. And I need more beer like I need a hole in my head, but I'm still buying it. So
hey, the homebrew shops are hurting too,
That's
man.
a local
the little
business
mom and
too,
pop
right,
homebrew
right.
shops.
Yeah.
Shout out to South Hills Brewing Supply here in Pittsburgh.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess if we're thinking about beer and food, just to start kind of at like the top level, higher level, more generic, Isaac, what would you say are some of like the main rules of thumb around pairing beer with food, things that you should kind of pay attention to, or things that you like to think about whenever you're making a pairing?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Julie.
Well, thank you.
And so beer and food is really funny, right? We outside of this, we offer through City Brew Tours beer and cheese happy hours, which we show you how chocolate and like summer sausage and cheese especially pairs with beer. And it's one of those things that I'm sure you guys have talked about this in earlier audiences and earlier 12 nights of content that you've had here, but it's really subjective. Nobody can tell you that you're wrong when it comes to a beer and food pairing. You may not enjoy it, but it's a lot of personal opinions, a lot of personal taste. But there is some science behind it, which I think delves into Julie's question. And so I like to use two rules of thumb when I'm eating beer and food together. And it's so simple. And we could talk about this for an hour and a half, or we could break it down into literally 30 seconds, maybe less. And that's look for contrasts or look for similarities. It's really as simple as that. When you're pairing beer and food together, the things that are opposites, like a really deep, robust porter, something that has the really malty chocolate characteristics and those really coffee characteristics to it, pairs great with something like a blue cheese. And that's a great example of a contrast, right? We're going to take the salinity from that cheese. We're going to take the heavy creaminess from that cheese, and we're going to use that to pair really nicely with those opposite sort of tasting notes there. So complements and contrasts are a great place to start. And I also like to talk about kind of how we eat and drink in general. I learned one of our beer guides, Andrew. You may have met him earlier if you've been involved in this content, but he has a great analogy that I love to use, and it's if you had a big bed of leafy greens, a salad essentially sitting in front of you, what are you going to do to make it taste better? That's a question for you.
Are you seriously?
I'm seriously asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question for the
I was
chat.
lost.
What do you
I
do
was
to make
lost.
it
Or a
taste
question
better?
for the chat.
Yeah.
Question for the chat. How do you make leafy greens taste better? You throw them away and you cook something else.
Yeah,
right?
that's usually what people. Yeah, that you put them in the trash and you
Feed it
My
to my
cow.
and you
cows.
break out the
It's
cheese, right?
Or
Bacon.
bacon. I think Andrew
says.
actually might be onto something.
Right. And the answer to that is you dress it, right? And you add salad dressing. And so what's really great about beer, and where I think I frequently are constantly talking about how I think beer is better than wine. And I make a joke, find me a wine that pairs with a chicken wing. There's a beer for every occasion. There's a beer for every food. And you run into things like the Asparagus Dilemma with wine, and things like pairing it with different things. With beer, you don't run into that problem.
What's the Asparagus Dilemma? I thought that was one of Jeff Tweedy's side projects.
What is I don't know this. What's the Asparagus Dilemma?
It's about like pairing asparagus with a wine, like finding
Okay.
There's no real wine that pairs well with asparagus.
Yeah, that's the thing. They say there's dead spots with pairing wines, right? There's certain things that you just can't find something for, and that's the argument for beer, right? Amongst other things. I mean,
right. Amongst other things, and something else, Julie, you asked about like what's the basic sort of like starting points, and I'm just seeing in the chat, yeah, absolutely, Chad. Lobster rolls would be great with optimal wit.
You guys are jumping ahead though. That's our game,
right?
No, yeah, I'm saying there's a whole bunch of things
Chad guy. What's he
popping up
talking about?
in the chat there. Chad loves lobster rolls. For those of you that don't, but
McDonald's.
Absolutely. A Belgian wit, any type of wit beer is going to pair really nice with your lighter seafood fares. Belgian wit, just great with any kind of seafood in general. And it's also just such a great introductory sort of beer. I think for a lot of people that are diving into craft, the optimal wit, I think you guys had Bill Butcher on a couple nights ago. He was probably very modest and didn't tell you it's called optimal because it's already perfect. It doesn't need any adjustments to it, but that's such a great beer to pair with food, and especially over the holidays. So I'm sure we're directing everybody to go read the blog post, and I've written some suggestions about things that pair with it. And over the wintertime, like over the summertime, it's great to direct people to a Belgian wit or those lighter fare beers, but we're in stout season right now, and I tend to not drink seasonally. I'll have a stout, and speaking of Port City, they have the Port City Porter, and they sell the exact same amount of that. Almost, I think it's a 49-51 split of their porter over the summer and their porter over the winter. It's that robust and it's that enjoyable to be had all year round. But we're in that time of the year where, the ABVs tend to start creeping up a little bit, and we start seeing those heavy hitters pop their heads out. We're just finished up with like this very nicely hidden, what is it, like 7.5%?
Yeah.
I'm sipping on this with everybody too. And this has been the heaviest beer I've had this evening.
Well, that's just it's like human nature, right? We get into the colder weather, so we start making these more robust foods, these roasts,
exactly,
and these stews, and we're making turkey, and we need beers to stand up to that. And that's the other thing you want to pay attention to, right? It's like matching those intensities and
absolutely
having a beer that's going to stand up to this big roasty meal.
Yeah, 100%. So like while while something like that optimal wit is going to work great with like your lobster rolls and something, like lighter seafood fare, like, you're probably having a Christmas ham or like a lamb roast around about this time of year. The food is getting more intensely spiced or roasted, and your vegetables too. We're indoors. If we're going out, we're tossing something on the grill real fast, bringing it back in again, and don't just stop there. Like I encourage everybody, and I said this jokingly around, but eat a lot of beer and drink a lot of food and do it together. Like really find what works. practice will certainly make perfect there. But jumping into, like I mentioned, the stout season, and something like a stout or a porter, it's going to go really great with your red meats. It's going to go great with your roasts. It's going to hold up really well to that strong food. And it's kind of the same thing. I hate to keep bringing up wine, but it's like you pair those stronger, heartier wines.
Throw it under the bus.
That's right. And you're kind of doing the same thing with your beer as well. You're looking for those stronger, intense flavors to hold up against those other intense flavors. But you don't have to stop there. Like something like and I mentioned this in the blog, but something like an oyster, even a raw oyster, pairs really great with things like stouts. It's that salinity in there, and so much so that we have brewers that are actually making oyster stouts, taking the shells and putting them into the beer, and getting that salinity there. So, as simple as it is, it's if you think it's going to work, it probably will.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't,
especially when it comes to those intensities, like you said, so pairing the hearty flavors, the hearty beers with the like robust beers with hearty, robust flavors, for sure.
Exactly.
It's a good place to start.
Exactly. And I'd encourage everybody as well to also don't feel like you have to give into the pairing. Sometimes there's not a beer that pairs well with something. And now I just said beers, like 15 minutes ago, beer's really robust and you compare it with anything. But if you've got something like,
don't force it.
Yeah, let it stand for itself and speak for itself.
Yeah,
right?
If you've got a bourbon barrel-aged barley wine with like lactose
That's
and
a
cocoa
meal.
nibs, like don't feel like you need to find something that's a beer that needs to be enjoyed by itself. Like don't feel like you have to find a cheese to go with that or like pull something out like to
just
whip
enjoy
up.
the beer. Yeah.
Just enjoy the beer, right? Like
So I want to jump into the Q&A here. A couple of
there's
things
some good
before
questions.
So Rhonda, curious if you chill your glasses before pouring. I remember Brian mentioned he chills the beer cold and then lets it come to temp for optimal drinking. And a lot of people love a chilled glass with really cold beer, but I think my other two participants here will echo this sentiment, is too cold sometimes isn't good for the beer, especially something like this that has these intricacies with flavor. You want to let that be a little bit warmer. I mean, and when I say warmer, 37 degrees instead of 33 degrees, 40 degrees. I mean, our stouts, we want to let them get up to 48, upper 40s, maybe even 50s, and those barrel-aged beers like Isaac was talking about. But our everyday drinkers drink those right around 30, 38 degrees, a little warmer than like your fridge in your kitchen would keep them. If you keep them in your fridge in your kitchen, just take it out like 5 minutes before you drink it, and it'll be like optimal temperature before you drink it. But if you like a chill glass and that's how you like to drink your beer, don't let us stop you.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think there's a wrong answer there, Brian, but I think part of the misconception there comes from a chilled glass is going to also dumb down your flavors as well. And with that coldness of that glass, it's easier to chill the beer than it is your glass. And you're probably seeing that in a lot of your dive bars where you've got your adjunct American lagers, where they'll give you a frosted glass from like underneath the low boy.
And
there.
if they get watered down a little bit,
right, you're not losing a ton of flavor on something that was designed to be really light, refreshing, and more than one. So I think it's important to note that you're kind of robbing your taste buds of that experience with a frosted glass.
Yeah, and Barry in the chat. Barry? That name sounds familiar.
Never heard of him.
We know Barry?
No.
Well, this person, Barry, says that frosted glasses ruin the head retention and aromatics too. Yeah. So like it's your prerogative if you want to drink out of a chilled glass, but like Jolie said too, like you're almost robbing it was Isaac that said that you're almost robbing yourself of that sensory experience. Kirk has a very good question in the Q&A that I think will kind of lead us into our next little segment. Do we do segments?
Yeah,
we're doing segments. Cool. It's a show.
We can decide that on the last day. Yes, it's a segment.
Yeah.
What we do.
Yeah. Why is my voice getting higher?
No, Multi, go away. No, don't even do it. Please don't.
I don't know where it is.
I don't know which is worse, Multi or the bar sounds. They're both horrible.
Kirk in the chat says, or Kirk in the Q&A says, Isaac, it's your last meal. You were being hung at sunup.
This is grim.
Very confused because I usually hang people at sundown, but I was really, that's the end of the sentence.
Very dramatic.
Thanks, Kirk, for your comment.
Either way, I'm on my way out.
Isaac, what's your final food and beer pairing?
What is my final food and beer pairing.
Your final, it's your
Man,
last chance.
That's a tough one. You know, that's like asking somebody to pick their favorite dog or their child, and they all have one, by the way.
I have one.
It's difficult to get them to admit it. That's really what it is.
They all have one. But when it comes to beer and food, I'm not sure if I have one. So one of the best pairings I've ever had in my entire life was so bizarre, and I think it was so bizarre. That's why it's resonated with me for so long. Is I had a barley wine with a Kalamata olive, and it was
I could see that.
That really heavy salinity with that booze and that really malty plum, wet tobacco, leather, like all combined. And I thought this is going to be revolting before I jumped into it. And I had it and I was like, this is fantastic. And I think it was one of those things that it was just like so confusing and so bizarre, but like worked so well. That is why I constantly think about it. And I don't want my last meal to be like a barley wine and like a bowl of Kalamata olives.
And he ate olives and barley.
So sadly eating me.
Yeah. Just like
wine.
Slowly, if they could be maybe pitted Kalamata olives. Better. A Genesee and a 7-Eleven hot dog. A Natty Bow and a crab cake.
Chad is just going wild. Hams and SpaghettiOs, Coors and Fritos, Paps and Pretzels, Genesee and a 7-Eleven hot dog, glazed short ribs and a barley wine. Chad with a serious answer.
Glazed short ribs and a barley wine sounds absolutely delicious. For me,
Steak and Dunkel, that's a great one.
Yeah, for me, honestly, if it's my last beer, I'm on my way out. It's probably going to be a beef rib and a tamave. Like, I think I could be happy with that. Sun up or sun down, doesn't matter when. Just take me.
So Andrew is asking, is barley wine available commercially? I have never seen it. It's not a style that is brewed a ton, and it's not something you're going to see like even at your craft beer stores. A lot of times they're big heavy hitters.
Big bottles sometimes. You might find a barley wine if you look at the big
special
one.
releases. I think the most likely one I don't even know. I was going to say Bigfoot. You might see Sierra Nevada Bigfoot out there, but I know here in Pittsburgh, East End is very well known for their Gratitude. Some would say the best barley wine. But like, you got to go out and look for those breweries that brew big roasty stouts, big quads, stuff like that. They're probably going to be, messing around with some barley wines.
I feel like a lot of the chat and the pairings are focused on like those malty, heavy, like big beers. But I'm curious to hear from either of you, I guess, like what you would pair with something that's really light, like a really light Pilsner, a light lager. What are you going to do with that? Like, I know I would go for something that has like a really mild flavor to it. I don't want to overpower either the food or the beer, but what would be like a good solid pairing for something like that?
I like a Pilsner in a utilitarian sense. If I'm drinking some hot wings and they're too hot, Pilsner will cut through that heat really well.
Sure.
Oh yeah, we can talk a little bit about the kind of relationship between heat and
absolutely. Something that we do on our tours when we're out and bringing people around is we usually include a beer and food pairing, whether it be lunch or dinner, while you're out on those. And something that I think is really great to experiment with is those spicier foods, because not everybody loves spicy foods, but the relation of spice to hops is going to be intense. It's going to intensify it. So it's not going to take it Scoville's hotter, but the hop additions to any type of beer are going to continue to elevate the heat that you're tasting. So it may not, make something that was originally a jalapeno into a ghost pepper, but I think it just lasts a little bit longer with you. So things like Thai food and Indian food, or even wings, the best thing to have if you don't like heat is water with your wings, because those hops are in all beer, and it's really going to continue that spice level. But taking something like an India Pale Ale and pairing that with any spicy dish is going to intensify that.
We hit a chord with chat here. Chat just blew up with the Pilsner suggestions.
Yeah.
Tacos,
totally.
Shrimp scampi pizza, fish tacos,
seafood,
grilled fish, chicken,
ceviche.
seafood,
Oh, I love it.
Tuna
that sounds
fish.
so good right now. Yep.
Any kind of Mexican food, and then I want to get into the dark lagers, right? If you can't tell, I'm on a dark lager kick.
So good.
It's really rare that you see them around, and they're starting to pop up pretty frequently. I think 2020 was a really good year of the lager for a lot of breweries. We all
It was a
killed
good year in that way. Yes.
we all killed our beer sellers in like the first like 3 months, and then we realized, hey, like we might have a problem. Maybe we need to go to some meetings.
Gonna be in this for a while.
Or we're going to be in this for a while. And hey, maybe we just need to start drinking some lagers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to tone down a little bit. Todd, the Hell's Lager and a penis. Absolutely. Helles is one of my favorite styles. And for a Pilsner, you're going to look for your lighter fare, kind of the same thing with your seafood and your wit beers. You're going to look for things like chicken and salad, salmon, bratwurst even. And then, your lighter tasting things in the other direction. And we were spending a lot of time talking about those more heavy and robust things. I enjoyed the Barleywine talk. It's never a bad time.
Barleywine talk.
Yeah.
So Andrew has kind of kicked us off into our little
Barleywine.
game that we wanted to play here. Chat, name a food, and we're gonna try to find beers to pair with it.
So Isaac, tofu, go.
Go.
What am I pairing with tofu?
How is the tofu prepared? Right?
Yeah.
Let's
Which
try it.
tofu is it? Is
If
it
it's
like
just tofu,
dessert
it doesn't taste like
Is
anything.
it like
I think
orange
tofu
tofu?
kind of takes on the flavors of whatever you're cooking it in, right?
Grilled tofu, says Andrew. To clarify,
tofu.
this tofu has been grilled.
This tofu has been grilled. All right. I still feel like it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm a guy. I just told you I work in like a barbecue pit and eat a lot of meat. The few times I've had tofu, it's usually been fried and made to taste like General Tso's chicken.
Let's go with that then.
I'm going to go with your lighter fare there. I'm going to go with things like either something along the lines of like a Belgian blonde, or maybe like an ESB or a Belgian or like a bitter style beer, like an alt beer. I think would hold up really nicely to something like that.
Todd in the chat, I'm certainly he's asking this from experience. He asks overcooked brisket. What would you pair with that?
Overcooked brisket, I would take that back. And
send it back.
Send it back.
There's
Fix the brisket.
It's really hard to overcook a brisket. So if somebody's done that, they've taken it too far, Todd.
We had both General Tso's chicken and now curry chicken. How about something along that vein?
General Tso's chicken or curry chicken. I'm going to start taking that up probably into your darker beers. Like for me personally, again, remember this is so subjective to find a thing like anywhere from a Pilsner to like an oatmeal stout. I could see working in this situation.
All the things.
All the things in between.
Anything that doesn't work, Isaac.
So things that
Things
don't
that
sour
work.
beer. With something spicy.
Yeah. I don't think I'd have a goza with something like a curry chicken.
What would you have a goza with?
Maybe. For me, a goza. My favorite goza pairing is with watermelon and balsamic vinegar.
Oh, that sounds so good.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and maybe a little.
Chat, what goes with a hot pocket?
And maybe a little hot pocket. Anything.
Oh, feta, yeah.
Are you kidding?
A Hams or a
a Natty
Iron
Bro.
City or a Natty Bro. Where are you? What costs $12?
This is
at
hot
the
pocket
store?
being eaten at 2 a.m.
Shame goes with the hot pocket. Shame comes with a hot pocket.
Shame comes in a hot pocket.
Oh, Oreo O's, Brian.
That's
going back to last night. What do we put with Oreo O's?
Cody wants me to pair with Oreo O's.
Oreo O's. What is that, a cereal?
Yeah, it's like Oreo
cereal.
Oreo
Milk stout, yes.
cookie.
I like that. The chat
but
is
as a
handling
cereal.
it. They already paired it.
They were like circling
stout,
but yeah, like if what are you just eating handfuls of the Oreo O's out of the box? That's savage. Better put some water on that damn shit, boy.
Love it.
It's a callback to last night.
Yeah.
Somebody called that recipe. Wow.
I think Kirk just shared a recipe in the chat.
Yeah.
Kirk
I mean,
is
all right,
sharing
this is a good
recipes.
segue because this question came up earlier and it's also in the Q&A. Just to touch briefly on cooking with beer. So Isaac, you cook, you barbecue. you love beer. Good like ideas for recipes or things that you like to cook with beer. Best things that you can cook with beer.
Absolutely. So I get into arguments with my significant other all the time because she's constantly trying to use my beer to cook things with, and I'm like, no, that's drinking beer. If you want to cook with it, you want to cook, I'll go out. Yeah, I'll go out and get you some Guinness if you want to do some cooking with it. I think somebody mentioned earlier, like a Guinness stew will change the way you look at things. I like to marinate my poultry. I like to brine my poultry actually in like a beer mix.
What kind of beer?
So for me, usually whatever I have a lot of on hand, sitting around, the darker beers, the maltier beers are going to give you a lot of that flavor, which will translate through. I've done a couple. Well, one of my favorite things to do is a beer can chicken, and that's where you take a chicken, you stick a beer can up into it, and kind of let it go on the grill, which is absolutely delicious. I've tried a couple different styles of beers.
Gotta watch out with those though.
What's that?
You got to watch out with those beer can
Do you
chickens,
have a
especially
story?
with craft beer, because of craft beer, a lot of the labels are plastic. I know my mom is watching at home. Shout out to my mom for the first time.
Hi, Brian.
We just had a conversation about this weekend.
Yeah.
Is you got to watch out because they can have plastic labels, like the LA beer, the Fresh Pills of LA we had the other night. It had a plastic wrap label, shrink wrap.
Yeah, I mean, this is a wrap too.
Yeah,
but I think this is like paper composite
like
kind of
foiling.
thing. I still think you probably want like a painted can.
That's
Right.
good advice. Yeah, like don't stick something that's going to melt into your chicken. I actually I've got a ceramic sort of like oval stand where you pour the beer into it. Actually, one of the most surprising things that I saw with it is they suggested champagne. And I don't have a champagne budget. I'm more of a beer guy. But I don't know if it's the carbonation there. I actually don't know. I should research a little bit more. But something about that. But any beer can chicken that I do, pour some beer in there. It always turns out delicious. It's always very moist, and that meat it imparts a lot of flavor from it. Usually poultry, either with that or I'm doing like I said, a Guinness stew or something darker, more robust. There is a local barbecue shop that will actually make different sauces out of local craft beers, and that's kind of their shtick. So yeah, barbecue sauce. I mean, the possibilities are really endless.
I like a nice beer batter's pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the world's your oyster. You just batter everything.
Yeah,
Deep fry it.
Yeah, I mean, anything with beer and anything fried is bound to be delicious.
It's a winning combo.
There's no real wrong way to go.
So guys, I think people are finishing their beers.
Yep, I think
that's probably the sign to start wrapping up. I hate to do it.
Isaac, anything you'd like to say to the wonderful people in chat and at home before we step into our final segment?
I finally had my 15 minutes of fame, and I'm at a loss for my final words. No, but thank you to anybody and everybody that's part of this chat, that's bought a box, that has been a part of this. I've been enjoying the content from the other side with all of you on the other end, and we really appreciate it. I think this has been a tough year for absolutely everybody, all 5 days of it, but last year as well. And so keep drinking beer, keep eating food. Someone said it in there, eat local food with your local beer. 100%. Your restaurants are hurting, your breweries are hurting.
Yep.
I can't encourage everybody enough to just keep buying local, keep supporting. We're going to all ride through this, and one day we'll be able to take you back out again and do this in person. And you might see any three of us on this call and our fantastic team, depending on where you are in the US, take you out on a tour. And I'm looking forward to that day.
Absolutely.
When we can cheers together and I can really yell over
the bar sounds
being too loud in the background, as opposed to having a laugh track in the back. So,
well, thank you, Isaac.
That's it. Thank you to both of you. Thank you to everybody out there in the audience. I appreciate everybody.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
We'll be right, Brian.
We'll be good. While Julie and I are going to work through a couple of things here, both some stuff that we have written down and emotionally
as
well. Yeah. While we're doing this, I have a couple questions for the chat. that you could throw up in there for you guys to think about. So would you rather have a beer box with multiple beers from a single brewery every month, or multiple beers in each box every month? We're talking about what the next box is going to be here. So your feedback could definitely help us determine what we're going to do next. Yes, there is definitely going to be something else like this coming very soon.
It's over, but it ain't over.
So much fun. Yeah. So also
multi.
How many people in there? And be honest with this one. Be honest. I know some of you. How many people waited till each day to find out what beer was next? Or if you peaked in the beginning, and how much did the secrecy of the beers each day play into your enjoyment? So we will take a look at all those chats, but for now, Julie and I have some thank yous to get through. So first off, thanks to the warehouse staff for packing and shipping all of these boxes all around the country.
Yes. And thank you to Barry and Chad, Tom and Brian for sourcing all of these awesome beers from our partner breweries to put in the boxes.
And speaking of those breweries, thank you to Five Boroughs, Evil Genius, DC Brow, Von Ebert, Port City, Ex Novo, 5440, Flying Fish, Common Space, Old Town, Goodwater, and Hopworks Urban Brewery.
Yes. And thank you to the blog writers. So we had Taylor, Emily, Mike, Kalima, Brian, Julie, Matt, and Isaac.
And that was him.
It was him.
Thanks to my awesome co-hosts, Julie, Kate, Todd, Malty.
Thank you to our guests, Matt from Evil Genius, Barry, Bill from Port City, all of the guides, Liz, Ethan, Kelsey, Ian, Zach, Chad, Isaac, and reluctantly Santa.
Especially thanks to everybody at home for buying boxes, for all the viewers for joining us over the past 11 nights here on Zoom and over there on YouTube. I know you're there. I'll talk to you too. We know you're there.
You're important to
YouTube
us
every night for you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being so engaged. It's been wonderful to kind of have this virtual conversation with all of you for these last few days. And I definitely want to say thank you to Brian doing this for all 11 nights. Amazing. You did a great job. I'm sure you're ready to take a break and not be drinking beer every night, but somebody had to do it and you did a great job. I couldn't think of anyone better.
I am going to continue drinking beer every night.
I'm
just happy that I don't have to wait until 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks to all the people in the chat. That you've made it so much fun. So, Julie, what is going to be next for City Brew Tours? I'm sure people want to know what to expect next from us.
Yes, and I'm glad you asked. So we did have this question. We've been getting this question. Will we do this again? Yes. So we are doing another 12 beers of Christmas for your friends who celebrate Hanukkah. We'll be doing Hanukkah box. Those boxes are on sale already. You can kind of pre-order them for 2021. So this has been so much fun. We definitely want to do it for you guys again. So if you go to citybrewtours.com/holiday beer boxes, hyphen in between each word, and I can put it in the chat for you. You can go ahead and start early.
Yeah, Kate is spamming the chat right now with that.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, Kate has that link there. Kate is now going to begin spamming a different link in there because we have a survey that we want you all to fill out to get your feedback about the live event, to get your feedback about the boxes. And Kate is now spamming that in there. Everyone that enters information into that survey will be entered into a drawing to win a free 12 Beers of Christmas box for next year.
Yes. Something that we're really excited about at City Brew Tours this year, we are going to be awarding our first ever scholarship that's called Talent on Tap. Brian and I also helped to develop this scholarship, and it is for women of color to get into the industry. So it's a really good way to promote diversity and opportunity in the industry. We'll be announcing our first winner, I believe this month, Brian. So keep your eyes on that. If you go to Talent on Tap with City Brew Tours, Kate is putting that in the link. You can check that out. We're really excited about that.
Yep. Thanks to Kate. We didn't thank Kate. We suck. We didn't thank Kate.
We were saving the best for last, Brian.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. But thanks, Kate. Thanks, Kate, for putting all those links in there.
You're wonderful.
Yeah, everybody check out those links. We have more online experiences. The live homebrew experiences, the beer and cheese happy hours, which we've been talking about, are really cool. Master the Brew home brew subscription club. Those all could be found at citybrewtours.com. Click on online events at the top and you can see all of that stuff. And citybrewtours.com is a great place to find out information about us overall.
Yes. So like we've mentioned before, we used to do in-person tours in 11 cities. We're hoping to get back to that. So hopefully this coming spring, summer, we'll be back to doing that. So look for us if you're in one of our cities, if you're visiting one of the cities, go and support the local breweries there, learn about their history, learn about how beer is made, taste some awesome beers, and eat some great food. In
the back of your book that you got with night one, you have coupons. You can use those coupons for live experiences. And tours, brew tours, and one for a live homebrew experience. So check those out. Last page there.
Yeah. I think that's it for the thank yous, Brian.
Yeah. So I really don't know how to end this.
I don't want to leave, but I feel like if we just sit here, it's going to get super awkward. Just sit here.
Yeah, probably. Wait. I have an idea. What's your idea? We've tried to teach you all about the world of beer over these past 11 nights. And a lot of that has been stuff that we're super, super passionate about. And I have one more thing that I'm passionate about that I have yet to share with everyone.
What is it? Is it super sophisticated and really mature?
Certainly. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to grab yourself another beer. You're also going to take out a can opener, bottle opener. I really like this style because it's got a couple different tools on it for this very mature, official purposes. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn your beer can upside down, and that's going to make this really safe for you because you're not going to spill beer all over your desk where you do work during the daytime. So you turn your can upside down. You're going to want to punch a little hole in it like that. Wiggle it around.
Ryan, this beer is 7.2%. What are you doing?
Open this up, and then take the other end. This is a wine opener here. We're going to really open this hole up here for ourselves.
This is how the professionals do it.
Get that nice and open for yourselves. And everyone, cheers.
Cheers, Brian. You deserve that more than anyone, shotgunning a 7% beer. That is your detailed explanation. Now you know how he had to stop. Thank you again, guys. This has been awesome. This has been so fun. And we wish you the best in 2021. Thanks for being here with us and sharing this with us.
Thanks so much, everybody. It's been wonderful. I have beer all over myself. All over my very nice. This is bespoke. I got fitted